In court, two jobs, one person sounds simple. But what if those two jobs are the government's top prosecutor and its top lawyer? Today we're diving into a fascinating case, Funa versus Agra, that really pushed the boundaries of what a president can do. So let's just get right to the core question here. Can one person really wear both hats? You know, be the government's number one prosecutor and its number one lawyer at the same exact time? It feels like a little bit off, right? Like a potential conflict of interest. But the real question is it actually unconstitutional? Well, that's exactly what the Supreme Court had to figure out. Alright, so how did we even get here? Let's rewind a bit and look at the appointment that sparks this whole legal firestorm. Okay, picture this. It's March 2010. Alberto Agra gets appointed as the acting Secretary of Justice. Pretty big deal. But then, just days later, he's also named as the acting Solicitor General. Boom. Just like that, one guy is holding two of the most powerful legal jobs in the entire country. Now, to really get why this is such a big deal, you got to understand what these two jobs are. Why they're not just similar sounding legal titles, they're fundamentally different. The Secretary of Justice, that's the government's lead prosecutor, they're the one who decide who to charge with crimes. But the Solicitor Generals, that's the government's defender. They argue on behalf of the government in court. I mean, you can see how these two roles are supposed to be separated, right? They could literally end up on opposite sides of an argument. Well, someone definitely noticed this potential conflict. As citizen, Dennis Funa saw what was happening and decided to challenge it. He filed a case basically saying, hey, this isn't a bad idea. This is a straight up unconstitutional. And just like that, the state was set for a major legal showdown. But hold on. Just as the things were getting interesting, a wrench gets thrown into the works. Before the Supreme Court could even dig into the main constitutional question, the government's lawyer came back with an argument that could have stopped the whole thing in its track. They basically said, this case, it doesn't even matter anymore. And look, things were moving fast. Agra gets the two jobs in March. Funa files the case in April, but by June, there's a whole new administration in power. And by July, people are in both those top spots. Suddenly, Alberto Agra, the man at the center of it all, wasn't holding either job anymore. And this is where we hit a really important legal term, smooth and academic. It's a fancy way of saying the problems had already solved itself. The government argued that since Agra was out of the picture, the original issue was gone. There was nothing left to decide. So, why should the court waste its time on a hypothetical question? So, what do you think? If the guy at the center of the whole thing is no longer in the job, should the Supreme Court just toss the case out? Does it still matter at all? You know, the government had a pretty solid point, but the Supreme Court, they didn't buy it. They decided to hear the case anyway. And their reasoning is super important, and the court appointed a couple of major exceptions to the mootness rule. First, they said the issue was just too important. It was a paramount public interest. The integrity of these top government jobs affects everyone. And second, and this is the real kicker, they said this kind of thing could easily happen again. It's capable of repetition yet likely to evade review. Think about it. A president could make a short-term appointment like this over and over, and the case will always become moot before a court could rule. So the justice realized this was way bigger than just one person. This was about a core constitutional principle. They felt they had to weigh in to draw a clear line in the sand for a future president and prevent this from happening again. Okay, so with all that procedural stuff out of the way, the court could finally get to the main event, the million-dollar question. Was the dual appointment constitutional or not? And their answer was a big fat no, totally unconstitutional. They were crystal clear about it. The dual appointment was a violation of the Constitution, and they didn't just pull this out of thin air. Their entire decision was anchored right in the text of the Constitution itself, specifically Article 7, Section 13, which pretty much says that top officials like the president, vice president, and cabinet members cannot hold any other job while they're in office. And that's it. And the court really hammered this point in. And this isn't some minor guideline, it's a strict prohibition. The whole idea is that these top level jobs are so demanding, so important, that the top person holding them needs to be 100% focused. No sidekicks, no other loyalties, just one jobs for the public. Now, like many rules, there are a couple of tiny, very specific exceptions. A cabinet members can hold another post if 1. The Constitution itself explicitly allows it, or 2. If the second job is ex officio. That's just a legal term meaning the position comes automatically with their main jobs. You know how the Secretary of Finance might automatically sit on a specific economic board. It's part of the package deal. And this right, here was the final nail in the coffin of the government case. The court looked at the Solicitor General position and said, nope, this is not an ex officio job. It's a completely separate, powerful, and independent office. It doesn't automatically come with being the Justice Secretary, so the exceptions didn't apply and Constitution ban was absolute. Alright, so let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? Why are we still talking about a case from years ago? Well, it's because this ruling protects a really crucial idea called disinterestedness. It's the principle that public officials should have only one interest at heart, the public's. This whole rule about not holding two jobs is designed to prevent any potential conflict of interest, ensuring that their decisions are clean and serve only the people. Okay, but one last really practical point. You might be wondering, wait, if the appointment was illegal, what about all the stuff he did in that job? The court had an answer for that. It's called the de facto officer doctrine. Basically, it means that even though the appointment was unconstitutional, all the official acts performed during that time are still considered valid. This is super important because it prevents total legal chaos. So this case gives us a perfect examples of a constitutional rule designed to keep our government in check, which make you think, right? So here's the question. What other rules in the Constitution do you believe are absolutely essential for making sure our leaders serves us, the public, and nothing else?